After what many are describing as one of the most embarrassing moments of Season 13, Atlanta's hip-hop and romance lovers are struggling to breathe. The internet is currently ablaze. Instead of a romantic relationship, a one-night error, or a sexual one, Yandy calmly acknowledges that she developed an emotional bond with another man. Blogs are thriving, group chats are exploding, and timelines are full of footage of Mendeecees sitting there with his jaw clenched, his eyes fixed forward, and you can actually feel the air leave the room as he finally responds. I find that to be unacceptable. Let's be clear now. We are discussing what viewers are seeing on the broadcast and what reporters are saying online. This is a commentary on what's happening on screen and the reactions of the fans. If what's being shown is any indication, this is more than a minor misunderstanding. This appears to be a real-time test of marriage. What is the intensity of that feeling? Everyone is troubled by the question because the episode suggests that you might be physically present in a marriage but mentally absent. And at the time of that admission, feelings were running high. Mendeecees now appears shaken in a way that fans rarely see after years of romance, rumors, public scrutiny, and legal disputes. Pride, agony, and bewilderment all flash across his face at once. MF is taken aback. This is karma, according to some. While some contend that it's progress and honesty, others think this could be the start of something much more significant than a mere emotional bond. Is this just reality TV editing? Is this Fisher who eventually exposes more serious issues in one of the most talked about marriages in the franchise? Or is the storyline being heightened for the cameras? Because there is more to what you are watching than just drama. This connection is dangerously unstable if this discovery is true inside the program's structure. As soon as Yandy's confession stops, you can actually feel the Mendeecees' posture shifting. His shoulders tense and his mouth tightens, taking away the informal energy that had previously defined their exchange. This goes beyond a simple conversation between a married couple. This appears to be a public confession of guilt. According to what viewers are seeing and what blogs are saying online, the tension didn't start with just one statement. For 4 months, everything had been quietly simmering under carefully crafted social media captions and manufactured grins. Earlier in the episode, Mendeecees tries to appear calm while sitting by the shore with a close friend. He talks about the recurring rumors that their marriage isn't as solid as they claim. The images that are circulating from Greece and the rumors. He first says that everything they've been asserting is wrong, but his tone isn't as sure as it used to be. There is reluctance, uncertainty exists. Additionally, when his friend quietly presents the images of Yandy standing a little too near to another man overseas, you can sense a spark in his eyes. I don't even know that dude. He continues shaking his head. Anger isn't ready yet. Only she can tell you that. It's confusion. When responses are delayed, it's the sort of bewilderment that builds into annoyance. Meanwhile, Yandy is seated with one of her closest friends in another setting. Her voice betrays vulnerability despite her calm appearance. I didn't sleep with anyone, she explains. She continues, I'm not going to lie about it, but I did felt a connection as though being honest might reduce the suffering. As if transparency could replace treachery. Her pal asks the obvious question. Yandy stops. Why didn't you tell him earlier? Because this isn't your regular adultery scandal story. Sometimes it's better to conceal your feelings quietly than to blow up your entire world. The revelation of private text messages or hotel rooms is unrelated to this. Many are taken aback. There was a deeper, more difficult to explain relationship between loneliness and desire. Consequently, it has a distinct effect. There is a great deal of tension when they do sit down to talk. At first, there are extended pauses during which no one speaks, and Mendeecees looks at her as though attempting to understand the identity of the lady on the other side of him. She doesn't dispute it, therefore you were there in person? He continues slowly, but his mind is elsewhere. She gives a nod. What was the depth of that nod? It has a louder sound than a roar. He wonders, was it just a talk? Was it only a sense of understanding? Yandy tries to show that purpose isn't always the first step in an emotional relationship. It can occasionally result from seemingly innocuous interactions. She describes how, during a time when their marriage was strained, she felt abandoned and yearned for recognition. Husband. When he answered, his emotions were running high. Does that improve it, in your opinion? You didn't physically cross a line there, therefore you don't think it's cheating? His voice trembles like music as he speaks. She gets upset when she hears the term cheating. You can't deny that you loved him in some manner, music, he says, shaking his head. I didn't betray you in that way. Because blogs are no longer the focus, fans are no longer the point, and that charge changes everything. It has to do with pride and ownership. It's about the worry that someone else, music, was able to emotionally connect with her in a manner that he wasn't. In a different scenario, their family members begin to respond. At least she was honest, a cousin remarked, causing the family to split apart. Honesty after the fact doesn't make the hurt go away. Some say this is growth, another person remarked. Some believe that this is the start of the end. Music, Mendeecees is clearly uncomfortable the entire time. In a subsequent one-on-one conversation, Music acknowledges that he hasn't always been flawless and that he has made errors in the past. However, he maintains that this is not made any easier by his own past, he murmurs. I had it. Music, I'd already done my dirty work. I covered the cost, but this right here feels different, he says, briefly losing his gruff veneer. However, emotional ties are a way-up call and don't always indicate a desire to end a marriage, according to Yandy. Some think Dot is accepting responsibility, while others think she's downplaying the harm. Even though viewers are divided, it showed me the music, cracks we ignored, she adds, and it made me realize what was missing between us. Beyond what is seen on television, stories of voice notes, private discussions, and a purported relationship that lasted longer than she initially acknowledged continued to circulate on websites. All of this has not been verified. But the conjecture feeds the flames. Would you accept it if I did this to you? Mendeecees asks, turning to face her at one point. She inhales before responding, and her words do not comfort him. Music, to be honest, no, but I would try to understand. As the episode goes on, the tension permeates everyday conversations, making even a simple dinner unpleasant, and he becomes even more agitated because it takes time to rebuild trust, and envy does not go away with understanding. A lighthearted joke feels heavy, and silence itself becomes suspicious. Music. Fans, music, are astounded by how fast the atmosphere in their home changes from comfortable to vulnerable. Then there's the moment that goes viral on social media. I can't accept that right now, Mendeecees says honestly without yelling, during a quiet conversation, not hurrying off, just stating it as true. Because no dramatic departure could ever have the same impact as that cool rejection. After he says it, the room remains motionless for a short while, and you can sense the weight bearing down on them both. That silent rejection is worse than any spectacular departure could be. Rather than defending him, Yandy gives him an almost shocked look. She might have anticipated rage, perhaps even yelling, but not that soothing voice that provides more closure than rage could. Later that night, cameras follow them into the kitchen, which feels like a courthouse despite music being a simple, everyday area. Yandy folds her arms and leans against the counter, trying to clarify what she meant when she said emotional connection. It wasn't love, it was consoling, she admits warily. It was someone listening when I felt alone. Benz laughs briefly and without humor. So you're alone in our music marriage now? He queries. Her modest reply, sometimes you can be married and still feel lonely, sets off another round of comments on social media. Fans are astonished by how honest it sounds. Some viewers find it sympathetic, while others perceive it as a justification. The question strikes a deep chord since music challenges not just her behavior, but their whole premise. Mendeecees speaks up in a confessional in a way that looks out of character for him, and video of that comment went viral on social media, generating deep emotions. He acknowledges that pride has always been a significant part of who he is and says, I don't enjoy feeling fooled. I don't love feeling like someone else has access to what should be mine. That term, music, once again. Mine. Music, it displays more than jealousy. It portrays a terror of losing control and of being emotionally, if not physically, replaced. Yandy catches up with a direct buddy in the meanwhile. Did you go too far? Yandy hesitates, looks down. I thought I could handle it. I thought it would vanish, but instead, music grew until it was inevitable. Another dramatic change of events is caused by rumors that Mendeecees may have sent voicemails to someone outside the marriage to vent about the problem. He clarifies that they were not amorous texts, but rather ones sent out of frustration. "I was angry," he recalls. The irony is evident to onlookers, but it had to be expressed. Though in different ways, they are both looking for ways to express their emotions outside of their relationship. At a heated reunion, the family was split once more. "At least she didn't cheat physically," one relative remarks, to which another responds, "Emotional cheating cuts deeper." Mendeecees considers all viewpoints, but they don't seem to calm him. His pride has been broken in a way that defies reason. He confronts her once more about the Grease pictures in a particularly heated episode. "Why did you smile that way?" She shakes music, her head in exasperation when he asks, and he moves forward, "Because I was struggling to breathe during my vacation." "You don't smile like that with just anybody," she responds. The argument is cutting but not explosive. "You don't get to tell me how I smile," and every word seems to have a purpose. Fans have different opinions. Online commentators argue whether emotional connection outside of marriage is a deal-breaker or an indication that something needs to be fixed, but Mendeecees is overstating the situation. Beyond the performance itself, the problem extends to contemporary relationships. Some claim his attitude was fair, while others disagree. In a private moment caught on camera, Yandy admits that she never meant for the relationship to become meaningful. "Music, it just happened," she says. "Even if I didn't wake up intending to harm him, intent still has an impact. Mendeecees may have gone there once, and that's what keeps coming back to her." She later asks a friend, "Music, what prevents her from going back there? It has to do with trust, not just this particular circumstance." It's about wondering whether every faraway gaze and late-night text message now has a deeper meaning. When Fondy offered counseling, sentiments, music rose once more. "We need help," she says, and he looks at her with a mixture of exhaustion, music, and disbelief, adding, "We can't solve this on our own." "You needed assistance before you became emotionally invested," he answers. Her eyes are starting to well up with tears, and that statement hurts. Nevertheless, despite everything, neither of them departs. Music, of sure, there is tension and unhappiness. But there is also history, years of shared experiences, music, children, problems, and victories that throws a shadow over every argument. In one wordless encounter, she reaches for his hand, and he hesitates but doesn't totally draw away. It's a simple gesture, but it implies that relationships are still present underneath the fury. Is there anything worth keeping, though? As the episode goes on, the doubt intensifies, causing viewers to worry if this emotional affair is a warning sign or a signal of more severe difficulties. The next morning, cameras show them pacing the house like polite strangers, but even though neither of them has formally ended their marriage, there is more mistrust between them than before, leaving them both confused as to how something invisible could have caused such obvious harm that the smallest signs of observable damage begin to appear. There's nothing but distance, no shouting, no spectacular storming out. It's not rage, simply the sense of being farther away and feeling colder. He doesn't glance at Yandy when she asks if he wants a cup of coffee after she makes it. In a confessional, she acknowledges that the quiet is worse than the fighting. "I'm good" is a basic phrase that reflects all the unsolved difficulties. When she admits, when he shuts down, "That's when I get scared," viewers are stunned. "At least I know he still cares enough to fight when he gets loud," she adds. The emotional bond is no longer the only factor. Fears that their relationship won't be able to endure such a separation. "You feel ashamed, dude?" When Mendeecees later runs into another friend who isn't holding back, the friend asks directly, and music hesitates before responding, "Yes, that admission I am is powerful because it breaks through the impenetrable veneer." He goes on, "The world knows about it. It's not just that she spoke to someone. People are staring at me like I lost control of my own house," he claims, and the blogs are aware of the tension, pride, and vulnerability in his face. Head in response to a hushed question from a buddy. A different friend tells her, "That's not the same thing as being in love. I found a place where I was understood." Sometimes that's how it starts, the speaker goes on. The audience falls silent. Even her inner circle isn't quite convinced, and the family was split once again. Emotions were running high when Mendeecees suddenly showed up for the meeting. Curiosity pulls him in even though he had no intention of participating. Music. The atmosphere abruptly changes, indicating that this is the support group. He asks Music, looking around the room. It's not a playful question. It's loaded. Yandy climbs to his feet, Music, defensive, but tries to retain cool. He answers, "Your side was meant to be me. I'm only explaining my viewpoint." As they start to rehash old wounds, the tension grows. He talks about the sacrifices he made in the past and the instances he felt she openly backed him. In answer, she recounts about moments when she felt emotionally abandoned. Echoing his earlier words, she continues gently. "You were physically Music, present here, but sometimes you weren't actually present." That mirroring stings. He backs Music off like though he's been hit. Another dramatic turn of events comes when a video of a man in Greece making foggy statements about relationships and personal growth goes online. Fans create the links, even if it's indirect and weak. Music in details, hypotheses abound on social media. Some believe there was a deeper link than was recognized, while others assert that the show emphasizes unimportant music exchanges to enhance viewers. Either way, the suspicion heightens the tension, and later that night, Mendeecees finally lets his guard down in a pleasant session. He concedes, "I don't want to lose you." His remarks seem less defensive and more terrified for the first time. "Then don't push me away," Yandy replies, her eyes brightening. "Talk to me, yet it seems harder than ever to get through." They attempt to Music, have an honest talk despite the absence of cameras, but microphones still catch up fragments. When he asks if she ever thought of a future with the other man, she answers firmly, "Did you feel something?" He asks, "You don't feel with me anymore?" She hesitates, and her hesitation has more impact than her words. Hands are shocked by that silence alone. The family was divided again when a relative suggested that both of them were to blame for the breakdown. "Emotional gaps don't just appear," makes Mendeecees squirm, the relative said, adding that marriage isn't one-sided. "So now it's my fault." He steps in swiftly and shouts, "No one is blaming you," Yandy replies, but we both ignored her. The signs show that as the days pass, the home seems heavier. In daily conversations, there are undercurrents of distrust. He glances over to check if her phone is playing music. When he steps outside to take a call, she watches. Trust, which was once taken for granted, now appears fragile. In an open confessional, Mendeecees considers forgiveness. According to him, forgiving does not imply that it is acceptable. "I'm not sure whether I can handle this yet," Kay murmurs. Music. Even when he says it's determining you can live with what occurred, the reluctance still exists. According to Yandy's own interview, she worries that being truthful would cost her everything. "I could Music have lied. I could have flatly